I couldn't have dreamed a better door.
I'm Eric. So glad you're here. If you like DIY woodworking videos, homestead videos, you're in the right place.
One of my favorite style doors is taking an old vintage like 1800s door and upcycling it like this one. I love this door. I found it by chance. So I was driving and I saw a little tiny sign that said barn sale. They had this door. Came out of an 1800s house. I wish I knew the family name or the address that it came out of, some history. Didn't have glass in it, so we had to order some tempered acid etch glass. We wanted to be able to let light through into the pantry for this project, but just didn't want to be able to see behind it.
I knew what size the opening was for this client, so I wanted a door that would fit it. When I measure for width, I measure from outside of trim to outside of trim for the width, but then I add 1.5 inches on either side. That way you can't see in from different angles. This door was almost 40 wide, so it was a perfect size for this opening to get past the trim.
And the window fit perfectly in the opening, so light came through it. I did have to cut a piece off the bottom. We were about 3 inches long for height. What's cool is if you find a door that fits it and can go a little bit higher, it makes the room look bigger because your eye goes up with the door. But you got to make sure that's going to work for your project. First thing I did is I got it back to the studio, did some measuring, wanted to make sure the window could be put in, had a bunch of red clay on it. So I set it on my shop table with a sanding scrubber. So I get a 5-gallon bucket with some Dawn, some soapy water. And this is actually a scrub brush, but it's a sanding pad. So it's made for sanding. And this worked unbelievable. So I just get my Dawn, and then I just came in and I just scrubbed all the dirt. You can see some of the red in there still. Scrub the dirt, and then I'd rinse and wash, get all the dirt and everything off of it. The really chippy stuff you want to come off. Ooh, one thing to note, if you have a door that's this old, it most likely has like a lead-based paint. You can get a kit at Home Depot to test it. Just make sure you wear a dust mask when you're sanding or working with it. Those chips that come off, don't eat them. We got all the chips off, anything loose, and then you'll put a coat of polyurethane over it to lock anything in place, so you're not going to have to worry about it. So just don't chew on your door. And then the rails and stiles had separated. What I did then, I took the door apart, glued all the joints, clamped it back together. This whole rail was off, so I just had to go in and glue the joints, clamp it, let it sit overnight. A door this old, it was kind of funny. You could tell whatever opening it came out of, the house was slanted because the top was slanted. So it's not going to be square. Tried to glue it up as square as I could, but I had to cut it to length. So anyway, I think it adds to the character, but there's a little bit of unsquareness to it, just enough to make it fun.
I've got some ideas in my head I can't wait to show you. So if you like this one, stay tuned, like and subscribe.
Then what I do is I take this sand net. Diablo makes it. You can blow it out, reuse it, lasts a long time. Because there was so much paint and dirt in here, I like to use these. So I put it on my sander, and then I would just lightly sand. I'm not trying to remove patina. You want to do at least 220 grit, up to, I'd probably do like 320, 400, somewhere in there. I had 220 and it worked great if you know what you're doing. Because you want to lightly sand, and this will take off any of the chips that won't seal with the polyurethane. This will take off any dirt that you missed. And what's nice about the sand net is you can blow it out and reuse it. If I were to use a regular disc, it gets gunked up so fast. Here's one when I was doing the white side. I mean, that's like 2 seconds of sanding. And then this is when I was distressing the black paint. I like it because then I can just blow it out. You can still see through this one. It works great for dirt, grime, dust, that kind of thing. You'll see when you're sanding the different layers. It was tough. We had white chippy on one side, black awesomeness on the other. And the black side was the original front side. So that it seemed like, well, let's use the front side. But the white chippy side was awesome too. It was really hard. So I left it up to the client, and they chose the black side, which I would have for this. It would have been hard, but. So I didn't need to pay as much attention to the white side. I still cleaned it up, coated it, because it's going to be in the back of the pantry, but still fun. You get to see a beautiful side of the door. So we flipped it, spent a little more time on the black side because that's going to be the focal point. That's what you're going to see. So I wanted to distress it. I took the sander and nicked the edges, some of those fancy designs in the front. I wanted to get a little bit in there. And it was cool because I saw the door originally started out red, then it was green, and then it was black. So in the 1800s, there was a red door on somebody's house. It's kind of fun to think about. Okay, so we sanded the front, distressed it. That's an art form. Like, you got to figure out, you can't do too much distress, too little distress. It's kind of in the eye of the beholder. I just kind of figured out what looks good. Tricky part then, once we decided front side, black side, red, green, black, how do I make a matching header? I don't have any 1800s lumber. I don't have anything that's been painted for 100 years. So what I did, in black, I don't know if you know this, you just can't go into a paint store and say, can I get black paint? It's like, oh, well, there's like 100 different blacks. This sheen was gloss, but as I sanded it, I created matte. So I'd have a little sheen come through in spots, but it was mostly matte. To make a matching header, I went ahead with some satin black. I used spray paint just because it was such a small piece. I didn't want to bring out my sprayer, prime it with a it just didn't make sense. First coat was, I thought, treated it like a primer with a satin. And then the next two coats were matte enamel that I sprayed over. And what that allowed is when that dried, I came back and distressed it with my 220 sandpaper. I was able to nick the edges really well, show some bare wood. And then when I sanded lightly over the top, that allowed for some of the matte paint to get sanded and some of the satin sheen to show through. I think it perfectly matched the door. Got lucky. A lot of problem solving, but I think the answers that we came up with really answered the question. How do you make a matching header on an 1800s door when you can't buy 100-year-old paint and you can't match the exact black? But I think we did really well. I'm happy. Happy how it turned out. Next step is getting the glass seated. Because we picked the front side, the wood trim that holds the glass piece in was intact, beautiful, perfect. Normally, you got one trim piece missing or it's all gougy and it would just look awful. Perfect. We set the glass.
I used a little bit of mastic. You want to be really careful with the acid etched. If you get any of the mastic or whatever adhesive you're using on the acid etched, it's really hard to clean off.
What I did was a little bit of Dawn dish soap and water. You don't want to use steel wool or anything really abrasive because you'll just take the acid etch off. And then I thought, the mastic has a little bit of grease, it's oily. Oh, I'll just use acetone or mineral spirits. And I was like, oh, I should Google it quick. And acetone would have taken the acid etch right off, made it clear, is what some people said. And then mineral spirits can affect it the same way. So just use Dawn and a light microfiber pad's your best bet. Microfiber cleaning cloth. Anytime I add glass, I get all twitchy. I'm just so nervous with glass because until you get it hung in the client, it's your response. If I break it, I break it. And it's expensive glass of tempered 3/16 acid etched glass. It's thick, it's sturdy, but it was pricey. And then I took some 1/4-inch strips that were the same thickness as the front trim of the outside of the window and just added that on the back as a little extra. The mastic would have held it, but I did some pin nails and just added that to keep the glass from ever falling out. So rock solid. There was no door handle. There's just 2 holes where the knob used to be. We had to get creative. We bought a glass knob with this escutcheon on it, and we just had to get clever as to how to attach it. I ended up putting a wood plate on the back and then just screwed through these holes through the hole. Worked out great. Then I hit this with the sander, distressed it, made something new look old, made something old look new. It's been a fun day. I'm old. I wish I could look new. Look how old this tree must have been. This is old growth pine. Like, you just can't find a tree like this much anymore. Look at all these rings. And the center's like, we're over here. People still put doors together like this. You get so close to the piece when you're working on it that when the client says, oh, Eric, I love that, it makes my heart sing. So client's happy, I'm happy. It was a fun project. Found the perfect door. go find your perfect door. I want to see what it looks like. Or bring it to me and I'll fix it up for you.